Oh my god, it's finally happened! 69 subscribers? This is incredible. This is the greatest day of my life. Tyrone, Chloe, put on the party music. It's time to celebrate. Jeez, pounding head. What are you doing? You started the episode without me. Okay, all right. I'm ready. Okay, I'm awake now. 69 subscriber special episode. Let's go. Episode 4 comes out of the gate swinging. Actually, you know what? That is an understatement. Episode 4 tears the starting gate off its hinges, throws it on the ground, gives it a good stomp, smears some dirt in its face, and then starts flinging yo mama jokes in its general direction. What I'm saying is, episode 4 starts fast and hard, baby. Starting with an air-to-surface motorcycle chase, where Bat Monster knocks Kotaro off of his bike, causing him to bust out a henshin, call in Battle Hopper, and play a little bit of chicken, leading to the very first rider chop of the entire series, which, as the narrator explains, has the ability to cut through 100 millimeters of solid steel. This leaves Bat Monster with a broken wing, causing him to kangaroo off camera as Kotaro emerges victorious. And all of this happens in the span of less than a minute. Seriously, from the end of the opening theme song to the appearance of the episode title, it's only been 51 seconds. That is absolutely incredible, and it's not even particularly necessary to the story of this episode. I guess they just felt like jamming an action scene into the very beginning. I really love this particular shot where Kotaro gets knocked against what I assume is supposed to be a metal road sign, but if you pause it, you can tell that it's already been cut and taped up to break when Kotaro falls against it. It's what we in the know like to call movie magic in a TV show. Back at Gorgom headquarters, Bat Monster's getting an earful. Now Bat Monster's gonna go back to his room, cry a little bit, and think about what he's done. Ooh, when you work for Gorgom, the price of failure is high. Meanwhile, Darum, Barum, and Bisha meditate on all of the damage Kamen Rider Black has done to them thus far. Darum posits that if they are to defeat him, they need to learn more about this Kotaro Minami. And for some reason, Barum immediately responds with, "That'll be near impossible." I don't know why he says this, really. He gives no explanation as to why it would be impossible. It's kind of like it just sounds like a big task and he doesn't want to be bothered with it, but you know, whatever. It made me laugh. Somebody in the comments section for my last video actually gave a pretty good explanation as to why so many of Gorgom's plans and ideas come off as nonsensical to us. It's a simple case of them as characters being so far removed from humanity that whatever ideas make sense to them are things that aren't gonna make sense to us, and vice versa. They don't understand us and we don't understand them. And I like that train of thought, that there's just an element of unknowability to the villains. All that matters is that their ideas kick off the events that eventually take place. But whatever the explanation may be, it doesn't stop a lot of their plans and ideas from coming off as downright funny most of the time, and in the process making them seem a little more bumbling than they really should be. Case in point, I present to you the plan for this episode. Since we've already established that studying Kotaro himself will be impossible, for some reason, Gorgam decides that they need to study young, athletic men, because that's what he is. So instead of studying him directly, let's study other guys who kinda match his description. Sounds sensible to me. They decide that this is a perfect job for Dr. Kuramatsu and Flea Monster. And now the storytelling wheels are turning, baby. Fast forward in time just a little bit, and we get a scene of one of these young, athletic men that Kuramatsu has been experimenting on and studying, apparently under the pretense that it would increase his athletic aptitude. But it's had the unfortunate side effect of giving him extra hair on his arm. He seems pretty upset about this. So now that he's shown himself to be an unwilling participant in Kuramatsu's experiments, Flea Monster appears and injects him with some kind of liquid, sending the man into a frenzy and causing him to throw himself off of the building. So Professor Kuramatsu needs a new test subject, and he sets his sights on a young motorcycle racer named Hayami, who, after a bit of convincing, agrees to meet with the good doctor in his lab. But of course, it's not long before things start to take a turn for the weird, as Dr. Kuramatsu removes his regular hand and replaces it with some sort of biomechanical prosthetic, which apparently comes with a matching eyepiece. And now, after a couple of episodes of only seeing him in his public-facing suited persona, we now get to see Dr. Kuramatsu for who he really is. Just a good old mad scientist, complete with hair sticking straight up. Flea Monster then enters the scene and injects Hayami with an anti-fear toxin, while Kuramatsu follows it up with a muscle-enhancing serum that he developed. Of course, this leads to Hayami kicking all kinds of butte in the Japan Road Race Championship. But, Dr. Kuramatsu and Gorgam should probably work on their vetting process for potential candidates for things like this, because it turns out Hayami is really good friends with Kotaro, who of course notices this change in his friend, this sudden determination and lack of fear that he has. And after trying to catch up to Hayami one day and utterly failing, Kotaro stands convinced that something slimy's going on. It's like, damn, Kotaro, I don't know, that's kind of a jerk mindset. I mean, you honestly couldn't believe that your friend who is already good at a thing just managed to get better? That's really so hard to believe? You gotta jump to conclusions that something crazy's going on? I don't know, it's kind of a jerk mindset. But no, I guess with all of the wacky stuff going on in Kotaro's own life, yeah, I guess it's reasonable enough to assume that, there might be a little bit more to this. Later on, Dr. Kuramatsu injects Hayami with a new artificial hormone that he's developed, which causes Hayami to freak out and crash during a race the following day, seemingly overcome with fear, which then caused his sister to make this face, which then caused me to laugh. So it seems Gorgam has found their magic bullet to take down Kotaro. Good job, guys, good job. Back pats all around. Clearly, this series is about to end. A little bit later, probably around midnight, Hayami's sister is roused from her sleep by sounds coming from the other room. And when she goes to check on her brother, she finds that he's gone full Benicio del Toro from Big Top Pee-wee. Yeah, that's right, baby. Deep cuts. Seeing this in the mirror, he sprints off into the night, back to Kuramatsu's lab, presumably hoping for a cure. But what he gets is quite the opposite. Kuramatsu straps him down, continues to experiment on him, and then, when the transformation process is complete, decides that he needs to be put out of his misery. But Hayami doesn't really agree with that assessment, so he breaks his bindings and escapes, and while running down a quaint neighborhood street, is spotted by Kotaro, who then chases him into the woods. And with a bit of quick thinking and some surprisingly strong vegetation, Kotaro eventually catches Hayami as he attempts to leap from a cliff. However, this gives Flea Monster the opening he needs to inject Kotaro with the fear hormone. Now, what do you think is gonna happen here? Is he gonna be suddenly delirious and afraid of heights? Is he gonna have a vision of Kyoko getting hurt because of his actions? Is he, I don't know, afraid of snakes? Shame on you, you're expecting too much. Instead, we just get Kotaro getting knocked around a few times. He eventually has a vision of Professor Akizuki getting killed, which is something we've already seen, and this leads him to henshin, burn the fear hormone out through his joints, and fight back, which is a little bit unfortunate. Now, I never aim to be particularly negative about this show. I love this show. Its main goal is to entertain, and for me at least, it hits the mark every time. However, I think when you do a story like this, especially as it relates to a superhero, it's usually a perfect opportunity to explore the character's feelings even further. When somebody like, for example, Batman gets attacked by the Scarecrow, he'll probably have a vision of his parents being disappointed because he's failed the promise that he made to them. Or somebody like Spider-Man might have a vision of his identity being revealed to the world and somebody he loves being hurt because of that. But with Kotaro, we get nothing like that. We don't get to know anything further about his character. And again, it's nothing particularly egregious, but it certainly feels like a big missed opportunity. Nevertheless, it is a really cool touch having his cyborg body automatically burn the fear toxin out through his joints. And it's kinda nice that they never actually tell you that this is what's happening through narration or voiceover. So kudos to treating the audience intelligently. Eventually, during the fight, Kotaro's multi-eyes power kicks in, and he divines that the only way to beat Flea Monster is to take out his legs. So one good mid-air rider punch later, Flea Monster's limping backward toward the cliff. Kotaro gives him a rider kick and sends him flying. And I gotta say, in watching the episode multiple times for this video, I kept seeing this shot of Flea Monster limping backwards with a broken leg just before Kotaro full-on "This is Sparta's" him off the cliff. And I gotta say, I kind of feel sorry for him. I mean, yeah, Kotaro pretty much always kills his monster enemies, but it's usually in the midst of battle somehow. In this case, Flea Monster's pretty much already beaten, he has a broken leg, and he would probably retreat if he had the chance. But no, Kotaro just full-on executes the guy. That's pretty cold-blooded. It's pretty cold-blooded, Kotaro. Later, Kurimatsu answers for his failure in defeating Kotaro, and as punishment, gets an RGB laser blast in the face from Barom's glove. Man, Bat Monster just got scolded. I'm starting to think these Gorgom guys aren't very nice. Later, Hayami returns to normal life, as his transformation apparently reversed as soon as Flea Monster was killed. And as his sister is cheering him on, Kyoko is reminded of her own brother and the fact that they still haven't found him. Kotaro gives her a reassuring look, and the two watch Hayami ride off into the sunset. And even though I genuinely do enjoy pretty much every episode of this series, I honestly can't really say that this is among the best. After the string of the first 3 episodes working so hard to establish the world and characters and stakes, this one feels like a pretty easy and straightforward tokusatsu typical Monster of the Week story. And again, that's not inherently bad, but in the grand scheme of things, this one doesn't really stand out among the other episodes. If you've seen any of my other videos, you might have noticed that I didn't even pick a favorite shot of the episode for this one. And it's just because the way the episode is shot is not particularly noteworthy. It's just very straightforward. I guess, gun to my head, if I had to pick one, it would probably be this one close to the beginning, when Kotaro is cheering on Hayami. Just because I like the implication that Kotaro likes to go to public places and surround himself with girls. It definitely looks like it's when he's happiest. Oh, look at you. You got to the end of another video. Wow, that is quite an accomplishment. It means that you've been listening to this voice for like a long time. I'm so sorry, your poor eardrums. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around this long. We've gotten to 69. Next goal, 71. 71. I guess. I don't know, what's a good number? I mean, 71 seems attainable. I'll just go with that, and we'll move the bar up from there. Anyway, thank you for watching. You're beautiful. I like your nose ring. Yeah, that's a good nose ring. Look, wow. Wow, I mean, among nose rings, that is probably the best one. Good choice. And hopefully, I will see you next time. Bye.